Alrighty, well, caught an umbrella, so I think I might have messed up this whole area. Hey everybody, it's J Ball, Blue Days Outdoors, back out here again with you. And guys, you guys just saw that very first video of the 2022 open water season. I talked about my favorite 4 lure combos to have with me this time of year. Again, it's ice out conditions. There's literally still ice on the lake behind me. And if you guys didn't see the previous video, I'm going to leave a link for it up here so you can check that out, going down, showing you exactly what lines and what rod combos and reel combos I'm using for my favorite spring lures. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys the very first lure I'm going to throw is this Chomper's jig. Okay, this is a 3/8 ounce football jig with that raised tail chunk on it, dipped in pink spike and dye, turning it orange. And I've got it coated in the Lure Lipstick JB Crawfish jelly right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I fish all 4 of my favorite lures. So we're going to start with the jig, and then we're going to move to the chatterbait, then the lipless crankbait, and then the last thing is the squirrelbill crankbait. And again, like I mentioned in the last video, the metabolism of the fish is going to be really slow, so all my presentations are going to be working very slow, staying close to the bottom. So I can't wait anymore, guys. I've been waiting for open water bass season for a long time. Just wrapped up ice fishing, but I'm really looking forward to this this open water season. So check this out, and we're going to show you exactly how I fish all 4 of my favorite bank fishing lures and or in the boat. I have these tied out on the boat with me all the time this time of year. So yeah, let's get to it. Let me show you guys how to fish these lures. A little bit of bonus footage for you guys here. So this is the Lure Lipstick Crawfish jelly. I'm going to leave a link to this stuff in the description of the video so you guys can check this stuff out. But guys, this is made with real crawfish. It actually has a fear pheromone in it as well. And guys, this stuff is just, it's potent. It really is potent. I put this stuff on everything. So how I apply this to a football jig, I'll show you here real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze some out on the brush guard. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it and I'm going to smash it in the brush guard. Right. I want to keep it off the skirt as much as possible. And then I'm going to coat the claws in it as well. And unfortunately, I don't have my rag with me, so this might get a little messy. So that's it. That's how you apply Lure Lipstick Crawfish jelly to your jig. And again, like I mentioned in the previous videos, if it looks like a jig, or if it looks like a crawfish, smells like a crawfish, tastes like a crawfish, it probably is a crawfish. As you can see, there's still ice on the lake, right? So the water is super, super cold. That means these fish are going to be very lethargic. The last thing you want to do when you're throwing a jig is pop it off the bottom, make real sporadic actions, right? And I don't know, yeah, here we go. I can probably just do this right here in the water and show you guys. So when I cast out, I'm gonna let this thing hit the bottom. Let me see if I can zoom in on it. All I'm going to do is slowly drag it, okay? So you see those little claws and those kickers flipping? I'm just dragging this. This is literally about how fast a crawfish is going to move in this kind of condition with this water being cold. So if you're used to like popping this thing and moving it, guys, this is not how crawfish move this time of year. So the biggest thing I see people make mistakes is getting too aggressive with these jigs. So again, I just slowly drag this thing across the bottom. So let's give our first cast to open water season. And I don't have any high expectations, but I really just wanted to get out here and make a couple of videos for you guys to show you my favorite lures to use and how I fish them. So let's give this thing a cast and see what happens. Probably should learn how to cast my bait caster. It's been a while. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cast it out. I'm going to watch my line. My line is going to eventually hit the bottom. You'll see the slack get in it. It's going down, going down, going down. Not there yet. There, just hit bottom. Not sure if you can see the line go slack. So what I do is I kind of stand with my feet, right below me. And I put the rod butt on the side of my hip right here. And all I'm going to do is just this. I'm just going to slowly drag it. Okay, that's all I'm doing. And I'm going to reel it. I'm not going to go more than halfway across my body, because if you get too far across your body, it's hard to set the hook, right? So all I'm doing is just slowly dragging this jig across the bottom. And again, those tails, those little claws are kicking, right? It's stirring up some sediment, probably getting a fish's attention. But you cannot do your typical popping a jig off the bottom, trying to work it like that, because these fish are just super, super lethargic, and then also the crawfish are as well. So we'll give it one more cast. Again, cast it out. There, just hit bottom. So I'm gonna reel my slack and just slowly drag it across the bottom. And I've been fishing a jig for a lot of years, and I tell you what, ever since I started adding this crawfish jelly, these bass will just freight train this jig. I mean, they'll try to rip the rod out of your hand just because, you know, it not only looks like a crawfish, but it smells like it, and then it tastes like it. So they just get super aggressive because they think it's a really easy meal. So again, this super early conditions, this is the earliest I've ever bass fished targeted bass. Again, it's middle of March. But I at least wanted to make a couple videos for you guys to show you again what my favorite lures are to use and how I fish them. So hopefully you can apply some of this to your local lake and start catching fish super early. So let's go ahead and go to the second lure that I love to throw this time of year, show you guys what that looks like. Any of you that have been following me for any amount of time know that I'm an absolute huge fan of pink, anything pink, pink frogs, pink chatterbaits, anything pink. So like I mentioned in the previous video, this is a pink 3/8 ounce jackhammer with a pearl white menace trailer dipped in spike at dye. And I've already got some on here, but this is how I apply lure lipstick to my blade bit, or to my chatterbaits, any of my bladed jigs. So I put some on the inside of the blade there, and then I smear it on, put a good coating on, and then I also put some right here on the tails. Okay, so you don't want to get it on the skirt because you don't want to lose too much action. I try to thin it on the blade as much as I can because I don't want it to affect how this lure is in the water. So hopefully what I'll be able to show you guys here is what this thing looks like underwater. So let's get a close-up of it, try to at least. All right, so that's what that thing looks like. Super, super cool. Now, just like with a jig, right, you can't cast this thing out and burn it across the water column because, again, these fish are super, super lethargic. So what I will do is a combination of two things. I'll cast it out, I'll let it hit bottom, and then I just pulse it, just like a blade bait, okay? Cast it out, let it hit the bottom, pulse it. All you're trying to do is create that vibration in the water for those fish to key in on. So look at it, it's only moving 8 inches, 10 inches across the bottom. That's all you're trying to do. It gives those fish a chance to track it, but you're not like reeling it by their face, again, because these fish are slow lethargic, and so is the bait that they are trying to attack. So always remember that the prey you're trying to imitate, you have to think about how cold the water is and how those bait are going to react, whether it's a bluegill or a crawfish. You know, it just depends on your area. So let me cast this thing out and show you exactly how I work this chatterbait across the bottom in the two different ways I like to do it. All right, so I'm gonna cast it out just like before. Okay, I think you might be able to watch the braid kind of fall down. It's going to be sinking, and then you'll see the slack come in the line once it hits bottom. There, it just hit the bottom. So what I do is I'm going to try to keep the rod tip in here, but I'll let it hit bottom, and all I do is just pulse it. You're going to feel the vibration of that chatterbait. Just you maybe like 4 or 5 pulses. That's all you want to do, and just slowly pop that thing off the bottom. Okay, this not only works really good this time of year, but this works really good in the summertime. Don't tell anybody I said this, but in the dead of summer on a high pressured lakes when it's super hot out, find a deep weed mat and cast a chatterbait and pop it off the bottom. If anyone's used to working a lipless crankbait, popping off the bottom, exact same thing. Same type of movement. So this is something that Dylan from Extreme Outdoorsman, his dad Dean, taught me, and it's super, super effective this time of year. So that's one way that I like to fish it, really slow, really lethargic. And I'm gonna fish this way the rest of the day, but as the ice goes out, you guys can see there's still ice. As this ice starts to push out, I'll get a little bit more aggressive with it, and not a ton, right? So that's one style, or one way I fish it. Okay, and then when the water does start to warm up and the ice is out, let me cast it back out. So what I'm gonna do, and again, this is something that Dylan from Extreme Outdoorsman, his dad Dean, taught me, is I'm gonna let it hit the bottom. Okay, it just hit the bottom. You saw the line go slack. I'm gonna pop it once, and I'm just gonna slowly reel it across the bottom and just keep bottom contact. Just like with a crankbait, square bill, it's just a little bit different profile. It's creating that chatter, or it's creating that vibration down at the bottom. Pop it off the grass. Again, super slow. That's again why I'm using these slower gear ratio reels just in general this time of year, because it slows me down. I get really excited like everybody else. So that's really my two favorite ways to fish a chatterbait this time of year, but really all year long. So that's the chatterbait. Now let's go to the lipless crankbait and let me show you guys how I fish that. It's actually pretty simple, so check this out. Okay, everyone's got a lipless crankbait in their box. Everybody should. If you shouldn't, pick one up. But this is the EA Bait Company custom craw color that he paints for me. This guy's an absolute artist. I'm gonna leave his information in this video so you guys can watch it, or so you can get some of these as your own. But I like to use either these rattle trap style baits or rip and wrap style baits. Again, I'll put the crawfish jelly on the outside of the bait, smooth it out all nice and evenly. Okay, so there we go. Now, this is probably a little bit different than maybe how a lot of people fish lipless crankbaits, but I do this. Shh, don't tell your friends. This is how I catch walleye in the Detroit River. Okay, so again, medium, 7-foot medium heavy fast action rod with a Revo. This is the SX10 reel, 10-pound braid with a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. Okay, now check this out. We're gonna cast out. I do have a barrel swivel on here. This is my steelhead rod as well, also my jigging rod. But I'm just gonna cast it out, okay? And just like with the jig and with the chatterbait, I'm gonna let it hit the bottom. And you guys will hopefully can kind of see the line going out, going out, going out. It's sinking down to the bottom. And again, we're trying to imitate a crawfish, slow moving bluegill, anything like that. Okay, so just hit bottom. Just like with the chatterbait, I'm gonna reel up the slack and just pulse it. You're gonna feel a little bit of vibration, okay? Pulse it, let it hit bottom. Pulse it, let it hit bottom. That's really as hard as it is. Now again, slow technique. Crawfish are super lethargic right now. Bass are super lethargic. Guys are still ice in the lake, you can see it. But this is really, really fun to do this time of year. Also in the fall when the water's getting really cold and the fish are starting to key in on the deeper structure, on the drop-offs, this lipless crankbait works awesome for doing this. And there's not a ton of weeds in the lake right now, right? Like you'll get it stuck in weeds, you'll have to rip it off the bottom. But guys, this is an absolutely fire way to catch. Stuck on bottom. Hopefully I can get it off there. Let's see what I got of this color too. I don't know what that is. Feels like weeds or something. I really don't want to break this lure off. It's the first time I fished it. Let's try to get this thing off of here. So I found out what my lipless crankbait was caught on, and it's an umbrella. Like a huge umbrella. Check this thing out. I'm gonna try to get this out without losing. Look at that. First catch of the year. Someone must have lost this in a windstorm or something. There we go. Got it. First catch of the year. Look at that. Huge umbrella. Oh man. Never know what you're going to catch. Here we go. First catch of the year, guys. This is a PB umbrella. Alrighty, well, caught an umbrella. So I think I might have messed up this whole area. But at least we got my lure back, and we did our part by keeping the lake clean. I thought this was the anchor for the life or the swim area poles. So yeah, let me get this thing taken care of, and let me show you the last bait that I like to use this time of year. Did not expect to catch that, but I pulled it right out of the middle of where I was fishing, so not sure I'm gonna catch much, but oh well. We'll show you guys what we're gonna use next. Last but not least is a good old 1.5 style crankbait. As you can see, this is a crawfish color, another EA Bait Company special. Eli is an absolute master when it comes to painting, guys. That thing is so pretty. So what we're gonna do with the Lure Lipstick Crawfish jelly, again, we're just gonna put a nice even coat all over it. Again, if it looks like a craw, smells like a craw, tastes like a craw, it's probably a crawfish. And crankbaits are pretty straightforward to use. It's just not a cast and reel kind of thing. I know a lot of people think that. It can work, just depending on the fish feeding. But, typical square bills are really nice. I'll show you guys the action here so you guys can see that, zoom in on it. But you want to try to keep contact with the bottom. Now, it drops off out here. Okay, it's a little bit deep. But when the weeds start to grow up, throwing a crankbait in this 4 to 6 foot of water, these fish can really key in on it. But it's really not super difficult to cast. I'm going to cast over here in a little bit different area just because I drug that umbrella through there. So yeah, just kind of cast it out and get to the edge of the ice and just slowly work it back. Now I'm probably not going to be able to touch bottom because these don't usually go that deep. But if you do hit bottom and you hit grass, don't be afraid to give it a pop. You know, a lot of times when you let that crankbait stall in that grass and then rip it out, fish actually hit it when it's getting ripped out. And you can see, look, I'm not reeling really fast. Just nice, really slow. Maybe get some bottom contact every once in a while. There, I'm touching bottom right there. So just again, slowly dragging across the bottom, get it hung up in something, give it a pop. So again, pretty straightforward, not super complicated. You know, one thing you can do is when you cast out, you can reel it down real quick and try to get some depth, but then just real nice and slow. Again, I'm using this 6.1 gear ratio Revo X reel, slow myself down. In the summertime, I just use the same rod, but I'll speed up my retrieve there. I just got stuck in the grass, pop it off a little bit, pop it off again, and sometimes they'll hit it as soon as you pop it off that grass. But again, I don't have super high expectations. I just wanted to get out here and show you guys some of my favorite baits to use this time of year. As the water warms up and the metabolism of the fish pick up, the bite is only going to get better. So that's how I work a crankbait, and those are my top 4 favorite baits to use this time of year. Let's wrap this video up and let's see if we can't catch some fish in the next one. All right, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So again, just wanted to break down for you, or actually show you my 4 favorite presentations to use this time of year, right as the ice is melting and then after the ice does thaw out. As this water temperature warms up, like I said, these fish are gonna just absolutely start chewing. So again, a football jig, pink chatterbait, also a lipless crankbait, really good at catching umbrellas. And then last but not least, squirrelbill crankbait. Guys, whether I'm bank fishing or I'm fishing from the nitro, I always have these lures tied on this time of year. So again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment. Let me know if there's any other stuff you guys want to see. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. It really helps drive this content through the algorithm. Can't thank you guys so much, or can't thank you guys enough for all your support. We're getting really close to 1,000 followers, so keep it up. You know, the more followers we get, guys, the more content I can make for you. Maybe start to monetize some of these videos so I can get better camera equipment, get better editing software so I can make some better videos for you guys, make some better quality stuff. But yeah, again, I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And remember, the easiest way to change your attitude is by showing gratitude. Thanks, and we'll catch you in the water next time.